Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to 6 Plus Plus. Tom, very less of men here, and I'm joined by my fellow spooky soldier fan, Jack Asher. Jack, how you doing?
I'm very well, Tom. How are you?
I am all the better for having Night Lords rules, and that's what we're talking about today. We've obviously had a little Grotmas release in the form of the Nightmare Hunt, which is certainly a name. Night Lords names are always good, and obviously Night Lords had a detachment before in Dread Talons, which Jack and I have both used at different points to mixed success.
Yep,
And so
definitely that.
we're here having a look. And what we're going to do today is have a run through the detachment, talk about what we think it wants you to do, how we think it wants you to play, some of our initial thoughts and feelings. I mean, I think before we dive into it, Jack, I mean, my feeling overall is I think this is probably going to be more straightforward for people to use and play in some ways. But I think it's lost a couple of things to gain a couple of things, and I'm still trying to work out if there's actually any massive power gain for Night Lords here. I don't know how you feel about it.
I like that the detachment rule gives you a damage increase
Yes,
and a defensive increase
yes,
because the strats don't give you any defensive increase.
they do not.
Um, so there's like just on the detachment rule, as long as you don't get aggressively diced, there's something there.
Yeah,
Whereas the old one was just, they just auto pass the leadership on a CP, and your army rule is not doing anything. You know,
yeah, I think so, and I think the debuffs here are more real and will probably potentially add up more. I was always a little bit impressed with Dread Talons in the late game. I always felt like actually it does add up in games. But we'll have to see. And there's certainly still a lot of work to actually make this actually work. And I think some of the things that have been added and some of the restrictions taken off are really positive as well. But let's talk about that. In terms of the detachment rule, as Jack has already alluded to, we still have a within 12 battle shock at -1 in the command phase for enemy units that are below their starting strength. So if they're within 12 of Night Lords units, they're taking a -1 battle shock test.
I
Um,
think
that's pretty good, right, Jack?
Yeah, I think the thing to note about it is the -1 only applies in the battle shock step of the command phase.
Yes, that's true. So there used
Um,
to be just a full -1 emanating from the Night Lord's unit.
yeah, effectively you had a -1 bubble the entire game, which was, your Raptors would they do battle shock checks, so they were giving a -2 bubble in the fight
Yeah.
phase, which is very relevant. Now it's not quite as strong.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit diluted, but still very much present. And in order to juice it up, what they've given you is Heretic Astartes that are attacking units below half strength get +1 to hit. And it's worth saying that is all Heretic Astartes units. So that is tanks. It is not, and that is at range as well. It's not just combat.
Yeah.
Anything trying to hurt things that are below half strength gets that +1 to hit, which is nice. This is not battle shock dependent. I think that's a big quality of life add, right?
Oh, massively so, yeah. And there are battle shock ones coming into it, but
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say. So on top of the +1 to hit, we have if an enemy unit that is battle shocked is attacking you, it does so at -1 to hit, again at range and in melee. So again, late game, that's going to really add up when you've got more battle shocks on the ground. And also, when a Heretic Astartes model makes an attack that targets a battle shock unit, you get +1 to wound. So -1 to hit against you from the battle shock stuff, +1 to wound against them from battle shock stuff.
sort of like old Chaos Knights, really.
Yes, it is. It is very Chaos Knights, and I think what this should do for Night Lords is help their sort of classic units, which is usually Raptors, Warp Talons, Legionnaires, often Terminators or Chosen, sometimes Obliterators. All of that stuff punches up very nicely once it's got +1 to hit and +1 to wound.
Oh, yeah.
Which damaged and battle shock targets they will get that against. So I think this requires a bit of tracking and using. I think Night Lords players are going to need a little bit of time to remember all of this all the time because it's several different hoops and they're different hoops at different points. But ultimately, CSM already hit hard, so +1 to hit just is great. +1 to
Yep.
wound is really vicious on some of their units. And it helps you sort of
Battle
jump
shock
and body
tokens.
things. Yeah. Yes, you'll need tokens to track all of this, I think. Maybe little skulls. You could make some horrible Night Lords battle shock tokens with bits of body on it. I might do that.
Perfect.
So, as a basic rule, I think it's slightly stronger, but I think you will certainly miss the all round -1 to battle shock tests that you had before. And I think with this, it's almost remembering how to build and building around the +1 to hit in different ways to the taking advantage of battle shock units. They're slightly different things, but they're both useful. As far as our enhancement goes, we have the Grey Veil Hex, which there was a form of this previously. This gives a Chaos Lord model and his unit stealth, but it also means that you are lone op 18 if you are within range of an objective marker you control. What do we think of the Grey Veil Hex, Jack?
Yeah, I think it's a market improvement on the old enhancements. I
Mm-hmm.
think I've struggled to write lists with Chaos Lords. I'm just
Yeah,
not sure they have a huge amount of value. +1 to hit is great on them. +1 to wound is nice on them as well.
really good on
Strength
them.
9
Mm-hmm.
on the go turn, but it's quite unreliable. And once they go in, they're dead.
I think that's
Load up
the thing.
18 is not keeping them alive.
I think the this used to have a stipulation that you couldn't put it on a Terminator, and I don't know. Can you use this on a Terminator Lord, or does a Chaos Lord? Is it specifying the unit?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because that's
So
an interesting one.
previously it
Yeah.
exclude it specifically excluded. So I
So
guess
this
you
is
could
this is
put it on the
my
Terminator
point
one.
of interest is I think if you can get this on a Terminator Brick, then a Terminator Brick with stealth and lone op 18 is interesting. But I don't think you'd use it anywhere else. And as you say, Lords, certainly the traditional conventional Chaos Lords, they're on a one-way ticket most of the time.
I guess maybe it's just a solo Chaos Terminator Lord
Yeah, potentially.
as a backup blown up because
Yeah,
he's
you could
pretty
have it as a lone op at the back,
is
right?
he -1 damage?
Yeah,
He's
he is. He halves
pretty.
damage. He's
There we
quite a tough
go.
cookie. So there might be something there. That's something to explore. But I think certainly I need to double check if you can apply that to Terminators. If you can, that's where I'd be interested in using it. Next up, we've got my favourite, the warp fueled thrusters, which gives you uppy downy on a Chaos Jump Pack Lord, who you will know attaches to Raptors primarily. So this is at the end of your opponent's fight phase. You can pull up into strategic reserves. It's cute. It's definitely cute. What do you think of it?
So I've used the detachment at event
I've
and
used it.
the solo Chaos Lord. You don't attach him to Raptors; he does nothing for them. So you run him solo, and he's like the world's worst Callous assassin. Because he has no lone op, no fights first. His damage is about the same. He's
Yeah,
the same points,
yeah.
um, and so he just jumps around, sort of scoring. But I think there's actually quite a fun bit of tech you can use with him now and the strats.
Mm-hmm. Yes, in fact, yes, there is, which we'll get to. But you're absolutely right. He could be quite a good little caddy for one of the other strats in the book,
Yeah,
which is nice. And I think it depends how many points you want to spend on luxury or flex picks. This is quite luxury in style. And as we'll talk about, if you're taking one of the other ones here, you're probably not taking this as well because it's a lot of points invested in bopping up and down. But it's not bad. Another one I like is Terraglut Parasite. This gives a Heretic Astartes model the ability to at the start of the fight phase, and that's yours and theirs. Each enemy unit within engagement range of the bearer, so the model itself, must take a battle shock test, subtracting 1 from the result. So this could go on a Demon Prince, be quite nice on a Demon Prince because nice big base. It could go on a Chaos Lord eating into the fray in the middle. It could go on
a
Master of
Curse
Possession with a
Cultist.
Possessed Spirit, a Curse Cultist with a Dark Commune. There's lots of different ways of doing it. And I think the obviously you get to live and die by battle shocks in this detachment. The fact this has potential to have you battle shocking things in your opponent's turn to set them up for your turn is very nice. So I think there's definitely play with this. I need to work out the right caddy for it.
Yeah,
It does get me wondering about Demon Princes just because you maximize enemy contact with a base like that. But I haven't used a Demon Prince in CSM, so let's
so
find out.
the winged one is maybe an interesting pick for that,
Yeah.
specifically to carry the Glut Parasite because he does fly over battle shock checks
Yes.
and he does the impact mortals like the EC one, which is good. Like it's really strong.
Yes.
Uh, he doesn't advance in charge. He can move 14, but then he's not strength 10, and strength 10 is really what you want to
Yeah, so
be.
I think he
But
can be. You can put a mark on him, right? Or is yeah? So you can
yeah,
have a diamond. So you could make him. But you probably want him to be Sinesh for the movement.
yeah,
But I think he's certainly interesting here because, as you say, he triggers battle shock when he moves over a thing. You've got potential battle shock when stuff's charging him. He's OC3. He's a tough cookie, relatively annoying to shift, and he's got the charge mortals as well. I've not used one in CSM, so it'd be interesting to see if he brings enough as a disruption piece. But he's certainly the biggest base I can think of. And otherwise, you're probably just using it on like a
uh,
Chaos Lord unit to try and trigger the battle shock for when you want to start hitting stuff.
Lord Discordant.
Oh, that's not a bad shout, actually.
He can touch a lot of things, and he's also very
Yes,
fast.
Lord Discordant is quite an interesting shout there, actually. Yes, so he's again got a big size base. So I think it's all about working out how you apply this And the dream would be to apply this more than once in a game so you get more battle shocking going on. Now, finally, the real deal, the thing I'm the most excited about, which Jack is a little bit skeptical on, which is the Sorrow Scent Vulture, which again, fantastic enhancement name. This is a jump pack Chaos Lord model. He gives his bearer's unit Scout 6, and he can be attached to a Warp Talons unit. So you get Scout 6, Warp Talons, getting stuck in straight away, getting early kills, early pressure. And because you have a Chaos Lord in the unit, you've got a bunch of damage 2 attacks, which the Warp Talons don't typically have. You've got 6-inch pile and consolidate, which is quite fun. And you also, crucially, have free rapid ingress every time you want to bring the Warp Talons back in, because the Lord can just apply that for free with his free strat. So there's a lot of upside to this, but it's quite a wieldy, expensive unit, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, so Warp Talons are 270 points. The Lord is 80, and the enhancement we think is 35.
Yes.
That's a 385 point unit
It's not
for
cheap.
what is 40 strength 5 damage 1 attacks. And it'll kill scouts, it'll kill
Kill scouts for
8,
days.
and now you've got the Lord, it'll definitely kill 10 Space Marines
Yeah.
bodies, which aren't a common thing, but nice to know that you can do it. I'm not sure you don't kill a repulsor. Definitely don't kill a repulsor with it.
If you can
You
battle
don't.
shock it, you might.
Yeah. So that it's difficult.
Yeah, I think it's one of those units that will take a bit of practice to work out exactly what it can and can't eat, because Warp Talons lose you games on the spot if they can't kill a thing and they get stuck. And this unit definitely will, because it's such a points investment. But it's certainly something I'm very keen to try, just because of the potential glorious turn 1 kill, yo-yo, run away. And Warp Talons, as we know, famously never go wrong in any way. So I think this one's very cool. What would you say your favourites are out of that suite, Jack?
I mean, my favorite is still the Warp Field Thruster, which I've used
Yeah.
before and I will be using again, because I'm not going to be using the Scouting Chaos Lord with Warp Talons. I don't think anyway. I'm
Yeah,
not sold on it.
that's okay. We can try different things. That'll be good for us to experiment with. But yeah, I think that's right. I think the Warp Field Thruster is really good. I like Terraglut Parasite. I think you're going to want more Battle Shocks in there. I think if you want to try, I need to double check it, but if you can do this with Terminators, then Graveale Hex on a Terminator brick becomes genuinely very interesting. And the Sorrow Scent Vulture, I think if you build around Warp Talons, you can't really build into all of these at once. There's just not the points. But they all bring something, and they're all relevant, and I can get use out of all of them, which is nice. So if we think about the stratagems, there's been some changes here. Our old charge after and trap someone stratagem is gone, which is big sad. That is a big sad, because I love that strat. But what we have instead is a bunch of situational buffs. So we have Talons sunk deep, now shooting all fight phase. Heretic Astartes infantry unit, basically targeting a below half strength or battle shot unit, gets +1 AP. Just good, but conditional, right? It's good when you get it. It's conditional. It's just one of those things that's nice. There's a lot of infantry units like the Noise Marines or the Obliterators that really like the +1 AP. Havocs also would. And if you think about, again, if Havocs are targeted, if you're targeting like a below half strength unit with Havocs, to get this, you could have AP4 las cannons hitting on 2s with sustain, for example. It's not terrible. I think it's just figuring out the combos. Yeah, or Noise Marines, it's really good, right?
AP2 no cover, AP3 no cover on the Blast Masters.
Yeah. And if they are shooting at a target that they've got the +1 to wound against, then suddenly they are very decent into a whole suite of different things. So when you get all the combos off at once, then it becomes incredibly ruinous. And in a similar note, we have Prey on the Weak, which is shooting phase or fight phase. This has been expanded to be in both phases now, which is awesome. And again, you get full rerolls to hit here, but again, you do have to be targeting a battle shock to a below half strength unit, and it is infantry only. Whenever you get this off, it's awesome. It's just going to be whether you get enough leverage out of it in the game.
Yeah, it's again, Obliterators are infantry, so they're a good target, and especially with their sustained hits.
Yeah.
Like giving a Chaos Lord hit rerolls. Finally, he's
It'll be like the old
reliable.
school. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say the Chaos Lords become exceptionally dangerous against certain targets in this attachment, and this is the thing. It's just going to be setting up enough of the big kills, but what you absolutely have is the ability to dunk a damaged unit with something that perhaps wasn't as scary or dangerous to it previously. Even Raptors, if the target is below half strength and battle shot, Raptors with full rerolls to wound, full rerolls to hit, lethals or sustained, and +1 to wound, put a lot more damage on things than they would have been doing before. So those two are going to be your combos for doing lots of damage. It's just about whether you can apply them enough. We have Sadistic Display, which is fight phase. After a Heretic Astartes unit destroys an enemy unit, you can target each enemy unit within 6 and force them to take a battle shock test. Doesn't work on monsters and vehicles because they don't get scared.
It's a bit of a weird one. I think maybe it's if you interrupt, that's when you want to.
Yeah, I
swing
think
it.
the single best use for it is going to be if you've intervened or interrupted somewhere, right? And you've managed to get like start a counter attack and shock them.
Yeah, so you can go into your turn with all your guns ready to shoot and half your opponent's army battle shocked.
Yeah, exactly. It does give you a sort of edge case ability to sort of suddenly flip a point or something, or destroy a unit, stop a unit that was doing an action or whatever else. But I think the best use of this is always going to be in your opponent's turn, and that isn't going to happen all that often, I don't think.
No, probably not.
Malicious Surge, Heretic Astartes Infantry, Advance and Charge. That's just good.
Yep.
Literally just good. That helps my Warp Talon Brick get where I need it to go, which is great. Everything likes this.
If Scout 6 wasn't enough, moving...
I'm going all the way, baby. Yeah, we're going all the way.
18 plus D6 is it should be.
Yeah, 100%. I think this one you'll use a lot. And again, it makes Terminators better. Chosen already have it, but Legionnaires, Terminators, Raptors, Warp Talons. There's going to be situations where you want this on all of those. And so the extra reach is really welcome because you often have to cross gaps as Night Lords and try and close with the opponent, and that's really nice. So Malicious Surge is really good. Relentless Terror is just good old-fashioned full-back shoot and charge. Full-back shoot and charge is nice. So your noise boys can't get tagged in this detachment, which I do like.
Yeah. Or your obliterators.
Or your obliterators, or your Terminator Brick. Whatever it is, it's going to be able to get back in the game. So I think this one's really nice. I always think Night Lord sort of ends up wanting to play in a sort of aggressive gangbang type way. That's just what they do. Lots of bodies, lots of infantry on the ground, and being able to jump and gum up the opponent and then start falling back and charging is really, really nice. Finally, we have Horrific Incursion, which is an interesting little thing. So a Heretic Astartes unit arriving from reserves can pick an enemy unit within 12 of it and force it to take a battle shock, subtracting 1 from the result. So it's pretty important, but it's also a very conditional buff.
So it's only your movement phase. You can't do on a rapid ingress, unfortunately. I think the place you want it is the Warp Fueled Thrusters Chaos Lord.
I was thinking that, yeah.
He's dropping into Sabotage a Ruin, and you can put him in just a position that the target you want to shoot with Noise Marines in a second. You can battle shock it to give your Noise Marines the +1 to wound they really want, or the hit, and then the hit reroll strat as well.
And this is peak Night Lords, because what we've got here is a play that involves risking a very important character. Might work, might not, and we've exposed another unit that's supposed to do the damage, and also if it doesn't work, it might not do enough damage. And I think this detachment still has a lot of that energy about it, where you're going to have to expose multiple things, like a sort of budget spooky towel, to try and get your damage off and get your combos off. And when it works, you're going to be devastating and you're going to really hurt people. But when it doesn't work, you've exposed 2 or 3 units and you're potentially losing them in reply. Because as you say, there's no defensive buffs here. So what's your overall assessment of the detachment, Jack?
I think I would say it's a big improvement, because the chase someone as they run away strat is the only thing. That and the -1 always are the 2 things you're missing. But the chase someone as they run away from you, if you've not killed them in combat, the only thing that survives a punchback anyway is a cursed cultist. So you're probably losing the unit anyway. And then losing the -1 always on is a bit rough. I think so. Detachment overall, big improvement.
Yeah.
Hesitant to say it's good. So it's fun. I'll go with fun.
I think we're going to have to see what the list look like. I think ultimately there are some very real damage buffs in here that CSM really like. +1 to hit, +1 to wound are really strong things. I think battle shocking detachments can be deceptively annoying for people. I think NIDs demonstrate that, and I think the Nurgle Demons detachment demonstrates
Plague Legion, yeah.
This doesn't have quite the same relentless battle shocking potential as that. But if you get plenty of Raptors in, if you have Noise Marines in, if you have enough of the tricks and tools built in to get battle shocks going, this can really undermine an opponent's efforts to play the game, and there's definitely potential in that. And certain armies at the moment do really fall apart in the game plan if their stuff starts getting shocked, because there's a lot of their sort of a lot of the juice and tricks that they have available is tied up in that.
Yeah, I think the difficulty is actually CSM. Once I sort of looked at it, you have hundreds of ways to get -1 leadership and very few ways to get extra battle shocks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Raptors are a must.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 Raptor squads in 5-mans feel essential here.
Yeah.
My guess is that once we get new Raptors, they might be a bit more of an interesting prospect in this detachment because their damage may go up and their abilities may go up. It's hard to know, but they look like they have more by way of heavy weapons in the new
Oh, I
upcoming
hope so.
Raptors pack. So I think Raptors will cause a revisitation here, but I would take 2 or 3 squads anyway, because as I see it, actually a lot of your counterplays in this can involve having Raptors lurking near where the opponent wants to push you. And if they push you, they get intervened by Raptors, they get battle shocked in their turn, and then you can completely gank them in yours because you've got all the buffs available then.
Yeah. And yes, the other thing I was looking at was actually Plague Marines.
Yes, interesting.
There's
Okay.
a little thing one of them can carry called the Icon of Despair, and that gives
Yes.
the Plague Marines a -1 leadership aura, notably a different name to the Raptor leadership aura. So
Yeah,
you can overlay them and get a -2 leadership,
that's very
which
nice.
will combo with your army rule of -1. So you could easily get a -3 somewhere on a unit that's been entirely hidden the entire time. If you've shot it with indirect, or you manage to get swing a
Mm-hmm.
predator or something round. Now they're doing -3, which for most of the game is a 9-up leadership check where it
Yeah,
caps out.
absolutely. Yeah.
Again, they're 95 points. You put them in your rhinos. They really like the +1 to hit as well, because
They
those heavy
do.
melee weapons going
Mm.
hitting on 3s are quite scary.
And they're relatively cheap, the Plague Marines, right? So I think
Yeah, T6 as
it's
well.
going to be one of those detachments where it's just finding the little combinations and the little options. And I think CSM in general have such a wide roster to draw on, and this is no different. It clearly wants infantry to do a lot of the work and get a lot of the buffs in here, but actually it also works on the tanks and it works on the range stuff as well as the melee. So it's just going to be finding the right balance.
Yeah.
And I think, a battle shocking army has obvious upsides and downsides, as we know. But Jack and I are both committed to testing this and playing some games with it in the near future. So we will let you know how we get on. And we're certainly both very excited to cook with it in the future. So that's us for now. Let us know in the chat what you think of the Night Lords detachment. We're hyped. Are you hyped? You should be hyped. It's going to be awesome. There's definitely no way that our dastardly plans fall down. Night Lords always get what they want in this game and in 40k as a general rule. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Do hit like and subscribe. And Jack and I will be back with some Night Lords base reports over Christmas time. So we'll see you then. Bye bye.
See you later.